Hi, my name's Hudson, and I'm a geoholic.
Here we go, folks.
We could let that thing go all day.
Oh, my gosh. Sad day, sad day. We'll get to that in a second. Welcome back, everyone, and thanks so much for listening to another value-adding installment of the Geoholics Anonymous. That opening number is, of course, Eruption by Van Halen. We all know why we selected that for this episode, specifically Mr. Eddie Van Halen himself on that one. And unfortunately, Mr. Van Halen or Mr. Eddie Van Halen passed away today.
65 years old, 65. Cancer. It'll get you.
It's a rough one. Yep, no doubt about it.
I was shocked.
It's a sad day. He's iconic, no doubt. That's a song that I think every kid that grew up like in the 70s or 80s wanted to learn to play on guitar, which is such an iconic song.
But how do you keep up with that?
It's impossible.
There's a reason that he's like the GOAT that.
Exactly.
How do you bend a string that hard?
That's why most people play air guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
I
still do it with them.
Yep. Van Halen, for those of you that don't know, is an American rock band formed in Pasadena, California in 1972. They have sold 56 million albums in the States and more than 80 million worldwide, making them one of the best-selling groups of all time. Additionally, Van Halen has charted 13 number one hits on Billboard's mainstream rock chart. VH1 ranked the band 7th on the list of top 100 hard rock artists of all time, and they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2007. I actually got a chance to see them in their 1984 tour, so you can guess. It was 1984 when I saw them.
36 years ago.
Yep, in Chicago, 11th row, dead center. It's one of those shows that I will never, ever forget in my life. But regardless, RIP EVH, as they say. As you know, this is a roundtable formatted discussion on topics impacting the geomatics world today. So guess what? We've got another great group of panelists that we're going to get to in just a couple of minutes. But before we do, I want to mention a couple things. First, guess what? Just yesterday, we officially eclipsed 20,000 downloads.
What?
As of yesterday. Yes. I looked. Yep. So cheers, boys. That's a huge accomplishment and a testament to the time and effort we put into each and every episode. So great job, guys. Second, if you haven't done so already, we have started adding a video component to the podcast and would love for each and every one of you to take 30 seconds and subscribe to the Geoholics YouTube channel. I checked that as well, and I think we're up to about 120 subscribers, which is pretty impressive. Our next goal is what, Jake?
I don't know. We got to set one.
we
do
500?
Yeah,
500?
That's fine. 250, 500. We'll get there.
Well, a little
100%.
behind the scenes, like the URL, we have it. So I actually used it today because I had to make sure,
Nice.
because my wife said the other day that all I wear is a blue shirt and gray or khaki shorts every single day. So I'm like, I can't wear the same shirt every day for the podcast. Yeah. And I had to go back and look at the last few. I'm like, what shirt did I wear this day, this day? So, yes, we do have a URL. And
YouTube.com/the Geoholics.
There we go.
Got it. We got to plug it.
Yep.
It is amazingly convenient to check yourself.
So again, thank you everybody for taking the time to subscribe, and everybody else, please do so. My name, of course, is Kent, and I am, of course, proud to be a geoholic. I have two of my, this is going to drive Big Shoots crazy, two of my goodest, bestest buddies with me.
It's not good. No, she's a former English teacher.
It's
over.
Big Shoots and producer Jake. Producer Jake, how are you now, buddy?
Doing well. How are you guys?
Fantastic.
Just same old over here.
Better after last night.
Yeah, oh yeah, are you kidding me? 4-0 for the Chiefs, 3-1 in fantasy. I mean, I'm so glad sports are back, and I'm just a winner all around the board. Victory, what is it? Tuesday. Victory Tuesday today.
It depends who you ask, I think, on that one, but I'm happy for you, Jake.
Thank you.
Well, I could tell you this: the Hudson is very happy that you're happy because once Brady left the Patriots, he doesn't care anymore. He's one
Oh.
of those fair weather guys.
Is he a Bucks guy?
Now he is.
Yeah.
He just loves TB12 through and through.
Mhm.
It's kind of fascinating, and I'm like, no, he's not on my fantasy. I could not care. I love the guy if he wins. It's all good, but
He had a good game this past weekend.
oh my goodness.
Yep.
And then Odell Beckham Jr. was just outrageous.
Yep.
With all those guys, I didn't have any of my fantasy, but I still won that week, so I'll take it. And
Nice.
hey, it was a good week.
Awesome.
Bad news, family-wise. I don't want to get too far into it, but I got to throw it out. You know, best of love to Uncle John, and then we go from there. What about you, Kent?
Prayers to Uncle John.
Yes,
No
there
doubt
we
about
go.
it. No
That's
doubt
the best
about
way
it.
we could put it. I couldn't do it any better.
Yep. On my end, we officially closed on the Tiny Piney and are already making plans to turn the shed into a studio / speakeasy.
Let's do
Uh-oh.
it.
It's going to be freaking epic. I can't
White
wait for you guys
Rabbit?
to see this. Oh, it's going to be amazing. We got
I-
some really cool ideas.
I do have a Gunther chain for your
Oh, yeah, I gotta
page
get that. That's
speakeasy.
right.
I
It's gonna go up there.
I just forgot it was in my trunk.
Oh, my God. I'm so excited. I forgot about that. And you know what else I'm excited about? Taking you out to lunch this week.
Oh, we did. Yes, we did cover.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm excited. Pizza on Thursday.
Yes.
There'll be an in-depth review next week's show for sure.
I don't know how far you want to get into it with New York pizza, but I found out there was another New York pizza place I've never been to in Phoenix. We'll get there when my next New York team wins, but
All
this
right.
one we're going to keep it at shameless plug, Casanova Brothers.
Yep, I'm excited. All right, let's get started. But before we do, I want to give our guests an opportunity to introduce themselves. So we're going to go with this. We're going to go with your name, current employer and role, let's say. And then we always do something fun. This week we're going to go with, if you were running for president, what would your campaign slogan be? So let's start with Jose.
All right, you said name, employer, and current position, right?
Yep.
So my name is Jose Pedraza. I am with Stuart Consulting Group in Houston, Texas, and I am the survey director there. For a campaign slogan, I would have to say, let's do the right thing.
Very simple and right to the point. I
That
like
was
it.
a safe point.
Yep,
I like
yep.
it.
Gabby, you go next.
Sure. My name's Gabby Getz. I'm a software developer at Cesium, and for my campaign slogan, that's rough. I'm gonna go with I'm gonna keep it simple and do puppies for all.
You're the winner so far, winner in the clubhouse. Chris, go ahead.
Chris Glantz. I work with the Oregon Department of Transportation, and I am the Deputy State Surveyor. And if I was running for president and had a campaign slogan, I'd probably say something like, it's time to grow up.
Oh, that's pretty fitting too, especially these days, no doubt. Well, thank you guys for that, Jake. We play this little fun game with Jake when we do these roundtables. So Jake,
Yes.
you need to guess. Okay.
Okay.
One of our guests tonight hand grinds their coffee every day, and their favorite food is Honey Nut Cheerios. Okay. Another one of our guests tonight is the winner of the Younger Geospatial Professional of the Year Award for 2019 and is a huge horror movie fan. And then our other guest surveyed in Chile and the Mideast and is pursuing a second master's degree.
Man, that is rough. Good luck.
Oh man, okay. I'm gonna go coffee grinder with Chris first.
He was
All right.
smiley when you said that.
Yeah,
All
Oregon
right.
guy. I can tell. Yeah, big coffee grinder.
Yep.
Award winner. I'm gonna go with Jose there,
All right.
and then the last one was
Surveyed in
in Chile, and then Masters.
Yep.
That's gonna be Gabby.
All right. You're 1 out of 3.
Dang it.
I think he got Jose and Gabby backwards.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Oh.
So Jose is actually surveyed in Chile in the Middle East and is pursuing a second master's degree. And Gabby is the winner of the Younger Geospatial Professional Year Award from 2019 and a huge horror movie fan. Also,
Congratulations.
Yeah. No, well, there's additional congrats for Gabby. I saw today that is it? How do you say the name of the company? Is it Cesium?
Cesium.
Cesium. Okay. So I saw they were named Startup Company of the Year at the Geospatial World Leadership Awards, correct?
Yeah, exciting.
Yeah, I saw that on LinkedIn today. That's pretty amazing.
You are a man that does your research.
Heck yeah, I got it.
This show is so professional.
Content, man. Everything's content. All right, so let's get into this. Here's why I'm really excited about this episode. Besides adding value and making new friends, we're going to get some different perspectives from folks who are in the prime of their individual careers and fall in the younger geomatics professional category, a category that unfortunately I am no longer in. So I think what we'll do to jump into this is almost do like a past, present, future type thing. So what I want each of you to do, and we'll start with Gabby, let's talk just a little bit about your past and how you got into, geomatics and the professions that surround it, and what kind of influenced you to get to where you are today.
Sure. So I probably have a pretty circuitous path to get here. I majored in computer science at Drexel University in Philadelphia. I never thought I would be in anything related to geospatial or geomatics. I actually, right out of college, worked with a friend, and we founded our own independent game company to release a mobile app. And then after that, I liked games a lot, but I was kind of interested in pursuing software development, I guess more in a more professional sense. So I was interested in the 3D aspect of games. And I came across a company named Cesium, and what they dealt with and what we deal with is massive 3D geospatial data. So it originally started as basically a globe, like a way to render a globe on the web, and has really grown into a way of handling your 3D data, no matter how big it is. And I've gotten to be involved not only on the developer side, but in the open source and the GIS and in the 3D communities. And I've learned a lot along the way, and I hope to learn a lot more.
All right, let's just continue with you on this then. So presently then, you're working for Cesium. Sounds like a great company to work for, and you're providing a lot of value to the company, obviously. What are some of the things that you're currently really excited about?
Sure. So one thing that I am working on right now is I'm leading a team to apply our technology in partnership with a company called Komatsu, who makes construction equipment. Yep. They're out of Japan. I think they're the largest in Japan. I think the second largest construction company in the United States. So we got to partner with them in order to create an app that really brings all of their different data together into one portal. So they'll take drone flights that fly around construction sites. They'll take data that's coming off of their smart construction machines, and we merge it all together so you can view it in 3D and make measurements and measure the progress. And it's been an exciting journey so far.
So where do you see this going then? I mean, you're working with some, high-end technology. What do you think is the future for that technology? Where do you see this going?
Mm-hmm. So I think you hear tossed around the term digital twins a lot. I think that's kind of where this is going. So basically, companies are starting to collect tons of data, and more of that is becoming 3D. And they're taking it at a higher and higher frequency. So what you can do is create this three-dimensional digital twin model of your construction site, or your buildings if you're in real estate, or your city if you're in city planning. And using these to make real-time decisions about your projects.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. So, Chris, let's run you through the same gamut. Let's talk a little bit about your past, how you got into surveying, and what brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, great questions. Mine's not quite as interesting or circuitous, I think, as Gabby's.
Make something up.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly enough, I had the exact same high school counselor that my mom did when I was in high school, and so she tried to push my mom into college, and it didn't quite work out. And so I was going to go to school, right? I was going to go to college. And so we were sitting down and looking at, I knew I wanted to go do it at some sort of engineering. I was looking at mechanical, civil, and geomatics popped out. And I was a big outdoors person where I grew up in California, and I'm looking at a degree program out of Fresno State, and geomatics was there, and it seemed cool. We looked at some maps, aerial photos. Like, that sounds pretty awesome. I had no idea going in that would lead me to where I'm at today. So fast forward a little bit, I worked for a small engineering firm in Fresno for a couple of years. Made my way to the Northwest in the mid 2000s, and kind of floated around from a private company to a national geospatial mapping firm, and then I ended at ODOT in 2016. And it's just been really exciting. I've got to kind of work all over the West Coast and whatnot, and travel around. It's one of the coolest things I like about surveying and anything geomatics. So, I really love working for the DOT. It's like it's a place that we have like a responsibility to do things the way they should be done, the way that we want everybody in the private industry wants them to be done. And so we tend to have the opportunity and the resources to kind of see them through and partner with potentially places like Gabby works to make something that benefits my profession and the citizens and whatnot.
Let me ask you this. I know a lot of people that, get into the public side of things. I guess in a lot of cases, they just kind of become mushrooms and just show up at the office every day, go through the motions, put their 8 hours in, take off, and they're there for 30 years. They retire and just move on. What keeps you?
I've dealt with too many of those.
Yeah, right. What keeps you motivated to go to the office every day and just push things further along in the right direction?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I like to call those people retired in place, by the way.
I like that.
Yeah. In all honesty, it's working for the citizens and working with the people that I work with. Sometimes the drudgery still happens, and it's important that, you work on a team. That can be any place. I've worked in the private sector where we had a similar kind of situation where it's retired in place in the field. And it's the group that I worked for and the Department of Transportation that I work for, they're really supportive of innovation and technology. And so they have been for some time. And so it's one of these things that we have the freedom to, like I said, kind of do things right. And so that kind of keeps me going. And it's offered me a lot of other opportunities outside of just geomatics to get into some leadership roles, and just kind of explore myself and where I fit into the world, basically. And so, just like with anything, it's up to each of us to kind of grab life by the reins and point it in the direction that we want to go. And so,
yep, that's a great perspective. So, what are you excited about, like in your current role, looking down the road, say 5 years? I mean, what are you excited about as far as what do you see yourself being able to develop? With the DOT?
Yeah, that's another great question. So I coordinate our UAS program at the moment, and so it's really expanding on some stuff like Skydio's doing with the North Carolina DOT with these autonomous flights of structural inspections, and really harnessing a lot of this really big data and these giant geospatial data sets. And the thing that I would love to get us into is, everything has a coordinate, right? Everything happens someplace, and that we're the folks that coordinate that. And so let's find a way to like leverage that type of information and data that we already have and we're already collecting. Find it get it in people's hands, in the public's hands, and everybody that needs it, and being in the private sector, I learned, you collect it once and then mine it over and over again. And so it's kind of the same sort of mentality and investing in technology, not only technology that'll help us do our jobs better now, but that's equitable, that's making sure we're not automating ourselves out of jobs. There's still humans that need to do all of the work. So
Yep.
keeping that in mind.
Well, just something, even the fact that Chris had his counselor said, "Oh, geomatics." I'd never heard that word until
It's
I was a
fairly new
geoholic.
word, though, yeah. Yeah.
And so when you're in college, and I get it, the surveying, the whole world of mapping and everything, but I never heard anything even remotely along those lines when I was in high school.
Yep.
Going into college, and this is gonna be to the detriment of ASU and Jake specifically, Brandon Ayuk, but they just push the engineering.
Sure.
Engineering. They
Good
don't
point.
care about anything else but that.
Yep.
And he was in California, Oregon, wherever you guys are, that there are the different schools. We just don't have that down here specifically. Yep. So it's kind of refreshing to hear that as an opportunity.
Yep, it really is. It really is. All right, Jose, your turn.
All right. So I was actually studying civil engineering back in 2008 when a National Guard recruiter caught me. I think it was at my old high school trying to sling a scholarship for my fraternity at the time. And he caught me and he said, "Hey, how would you like an extra $20,000 and, free tuition? Join the Guard." And I said, "All right, why not?" And he placed me in the closest thing they had to civil engineering at the time for an enlisted soldier, which was land surveying. So I went and did my training, and I got to do some cool stuff there in the years while I was still going to school. I never pursued it full time. I was always just doing small, 1 weekend a month and maybe a month here or there with the state surveyors for the military forces around here. And then when was it? 2014 is when I finally got to go to Chile for the first time. There was a 2-week mission there, and we were helping their, I guess you could say it's like their Army Corps of Engineers, and they had a project where they're trying to connect the north end of Chile with the south end of Chile because they just don't have a straight route there. And we were helping them do some of that construction work, and it was just, holy hell, why haven't I been doing this survey work for the last 8 odd years or however long it was? And after that, I came back, quit my job, and a couple weeks later, I was on the field. So never looked back.
Wow.
It does seem like the military is like the strongest recruiter for
really
surveying
is,
at this point.
Agreed, for sure. There's definitely some great opportunities there. So what about currently? Tell us a little bit about your current job and what keeps you excited.
Sure, yeah. So I took an opportunity here. There's a pretty well-known engineer. He's also a surveyor, Marty Cristofaro, and he's kind of handling flood control projects in Houston or in Harris County. So he's given me an opportunity to expand my experience and become a professional engineer at one point. So I'm kind of doing some project management now. We haven't really gotten any survey work in yet. That's what he brought me on. So I'll be expanding that side of the business and hopefully get some engineering experience at the same time. It'll be an interesting road, but so far, so good.
Cool. What about what does 5 years down the road look like for you?
So 5 years, I don't know. I'm looking at maybe starting a business myself or doing something with him. It just depends kind of how it goes. I've got some ambitions, but we'll see.
Yep.
That literally felt like a job interview question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of opportunities for, minority business owners, and especially in the engineering and surveying world, there's that percentage of government contracts that have to go our way. So there's an opportunity there, and
and you were in the reserve, so you're a veteran, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That adds to it.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm glad you brought
veteran
that.
And
yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because the next thing I actually want to talk about is, all three of you fall in what they're calling the Younger Geomatics professional category, and I know there's an organization as well, and we'll get to that here in just a second. But and it's just funny to me because, with the average age of a surveyor being, right around 60 years old, and somebody who's in their, 30s being considered a younger professional, it's kind of weird. But unfortunately, it is what it is in our profession. So, and Jose, you can take a shot at this one first. You mentioned promoting surveying, and I see, I follow you, of course, on LinkedIn and stuff like that. And I know you do a bunch of things to promote the profession. So, each of you have the same question. What do you see your role being moving forward to develop and promote, your individual profession? Of course, for Jose and Chris, it's surveying. So, go ahead, Jose.
Sure. So I've actually, I got involved with the NSPS Diversity Committee, and they just recently started that maybe a couple months ago now. I spoke with David Acosta on LinkedIn, and he got me on board. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities for young surveyors to kind of champion that, and I think expand the areas that we've been focusing our resources on, because not only are we not doing enough recruiting as it is, but we're also kind of narrowing and focusing our efforts in the same areas every year. So expanding that and getting the young surveyors here around me and throughout the state really to buy in on that and make it something bigger than just us,
Oh yeah, there's a great opportunity there for sure. Chris, you're in a little bit different situation, being on the public side. What opportunities do you have to promote the profession?
Yeah, it's really being with the public side actually offers a lot of opportunities for us. One for me in particular, I teach an entry-level survey course at a local community college. So that's a way for me to get out and teach drafting students about surveying. We also team with this career and technical education campus here in Salem, Oregon. That's they have an amazing drone and robotics program and a construction program that they teach they teach a little bit of surveying in their program. So we get out and get our faces in front of them, and so ODOT partners with them in a lot of ways. And we have quite a few graduate programs where we bring folks from different schools to have like an internship, or ODOT has this really cool program where if you have some sort of engineering degree or a surveying degree, we like rotate you through the businesses that you might be working with as a surveyor at ODOT for 2 years, and then you get a full-time job at the end. And so, there's a lot of things that we've tried to do for recruiting, it seems like, and it's I've been in with NSPS stuff, and I've helped start the Young Surveyors Network, and I did one here in Oregon. And it's just, we spend a lot of effort talking about things, and, surveying was built by folks that weren't afraid to get like dirty. And it seems like the work that needs to be done is just getting out, talking to people, and getting out to the schools and the high schools, and really, the younger generation, maybe they don't want to like cut brush with a machete or start at the bottom or whatnot. And so we just need to be more flexible. We don't need to have these really strict sort of, this is how I've always done it. This is how you're going to make it through to be a surveyor. I don't think that those serve us any longer. And so how can we like expand ourselves to be more flexible? So, and that just takes I think it just takes us looking at who we are and how we fit in the profession, and then how we can go and spend our time at these schools and just reaching out. And it's just going to take a lot of work. And so that's my thought.
Yep, no, it really is, and I think it's kind of a paradigm shift, to be honest with you, because as some of the older, grouchier surveyors, let's face it, they move on, they retire, what have you, and then a new generation of surveyors is coming up and are in leadership positions, much like all of you, and it allows you guys to promote the profession in a little bit different way, just kind of like you said, Chris, and it just. I think it's changing things. It is going to be a lot of work.
The old crotchety surveyor, like being out in the field all the day,
Yep.
it's not the same. They are out there, they're doing the work, but you gotta promote the profession. There there's a business development part of it of, well, you guys got to get in on this or the profession's going to die.
Yeah.
We that's how this all started. We championed it.
Yep.
Well, I don't want to give us too much credit. We're part of that.
Yeah,
whole
exactly. Part of the
thing.
movement.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
How about you, Gabby?
I think it's just about telling our stories, right? How do we communicate with different generations? It's getting out the story.
Exactly. Yep. And with the technology, what it is today, I mean, it relates to a whole different generation of surveyors or potential surveyors. Gabby, how about you?
Sure. So I think probably one of the biggest things, I guess, would just be almost to raise awareness of what we actually do in this field. Like Jake mentioned, back in high school, like he didn't even know this was an option. And sometimes I feel like when I'm trying to describe to people what I do, you can kind of see it glaze over just a little bit, and they're like, I don't really get it. Like, but I feel like, especially with where I'm at now, it's easy to show somebody just a demo of data that is very visual or very interactive, and they just kind of intuitively get that. So like with the stuff that I'm working on now, I can just show like, hey, here's a construction site. You can rotate it around. You can click here. You can measure this. And they instantly get that and they understand it. So I think using our own unique experiences and our own unique perspective to raise awareness about what we do.
Yep, great point. And I think perspective is a huge thing. And we all have different perspectives as a result of the people that we were taught by, I suppose. And that's where mentoring comes in. And, I know we just kind of complained a little bit about the old guys getting out of the profession, but one of those old guys was my mentor, and I wouldn't be where I am today.
You've talked about him so many times.
Yeah,
give him one more shout out.
Yeah. Without him, I wouldn't be where I am today. So you got to have those folks, but the age and the perspective of the mentors is changing. And that's where this younger group, much like the folks we're talking to tonight, can make a huge impact. So Gabby, I'm going to start with you on this one. Talk a little bit about your mentors and the folks that help you get to where you are today.
Sure. So mentoring has been really critical to where I am. I think school can only teach you so much. It's important to have, but when the rubber meets the road, mentors are really what leads you to opportunities and what helps you overcome certain problems as they come up, and really give you the set of tools that you're going to be using every day. I know I've had multiple mentors at my job. The current CEO of the company Cesium that I'm at is a mentor. Some of the other senior developers that I work with are mentors. And one of the most important sort of mentoring that I got personally is when I was really young, I got the opportunity to participate in a lot of like women in STEM type programs. And as somebody who ended up working in a very male dominated field, it was great to be able to see somebody that was like me doing a job that I wanted to do. So that was a huge influence on me as well.
Yeah, we actually, I don't know if you listened to the episode, but we had a STEM
whole thing.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. Yeah, I might actually
Well,
put you in touch with those
that's a whole
folks.
nother episode of questions of being a female and the glass ceiling and all that stuff. That just interests me tremendously because we've never had to even think about that.
Yep. That's a good point. Chris, talk to us a little bit about your mentors and the folks that helped you along.
Yeah, I think the hallmarks of a good mentor for me are those that are like willing to spend their time on you, and they're willing to I guess like level with you. That we always like we truly respect those that are willing to set us straight a little bit, not in a harsh way, of course, but with some compassion and like tell us when we have our head in the sand, basically. And so I haven't had that many that have offered that. And so I've had a couple that I care for deeply. And I've had a lot of mentors, like technical mentors, I guess you can say. They taught me how to do the work. They taught me how to press the buttons or deliver the maps or check on the DTM, whatever. But there's a whole level of mentorship and coaching and guidance that's outside of the technical portion that I think having that like really human side of what we do, because work is not just all DTMs and drones and LiDAR. It's I broke up with my partner. My parents are passing away. What do I do? I'm afraid to take the test. All of these other things that we seem to struggle with. I feel like the human side of our work has been neglected for a long time, and so at least in my career, I'm that's making a pretty big brush stroke there when I said that. But I think that's important for me to do, and that's why with the folks that I work with, I spend a ton of time just like figuring out who they are, and offering them some space to talk about the things that they need to, because once they get that off their once they get through them, I mean, we all just want to be seen and heard as humans. And so I think seeing them, especially from a lead position, is important. And so it builds trust, it builds teams. And so I think for like my role as a mentor, it's like finding the stuff that I didn't quite get in my career, the things that I worked through the hard way, of course, and then trying to pass that on. And then I also think that everybody should have a mentor, even those, I'll use your words, the old grouchy guys. I think if we don't have mentors that are younger than us, they're failing themselves. And so we have different generations. I think we probably have 3 or 4 generations working in our workforce today. And so how a digital native is going to see something differently than someone who pulled a chain through the brush. So those are 2 very different ways of growing up, and they both can educate each other and help each other along. So I think that is probably one of the most important things that we can do. It also leads into promoting the profession. It just kind of just grows from there.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I think a good mentoring or mentor-mentee relationship is really a 2-way street. It goes both ways. And I also think something else you touched on is, with COVID, unfortunately, that has disconnected us in many different ways. And honestly, it magnifies the importance of mentoring. And it may not be, one-on-one, and maybe done via, a Zoom meeting or what have you.
Still needs to happen.
It still needs to happen. There's so many different ways that we can do it and do it effectively. It's just taking the initiative to do it.
You yourself, you've taken the initiative on more than a few occasions, right?
Yeah.
You can tap yourself on the back. It's okay.
All right.
Hey, and that's why we're, as much as they're saying we're building a profession and all these things, I'm like, okay, we're doing the right thing here. Having this, we're getting the right people in the right places, and we're going to do this the right way.
Yep. We're having the right conversations.
Yeah, it's good. Doubt. I kind of like it. I needed this little brush up today after all this COVID and bad news.
Welcome to the Geoholics.
Yeah. Oh, wait. What was I paying attention?
All right, Jose, how about you? Talk about how mentoring has affected your career to this point.
Yeah, so I definitely wouldn't be here without some good mentors in my career. With the military, I had an RPLS who I worked directly under, and he was always kind of pushing us, me and the other soldiers, to pursue a career in surveying full time and make it something that we were proud of, just because of the big need. Everybody knows that the average age of your surveyor now is something like 60 or whatever it is. Yeah, right. Oh no, just young at heart, or whatever the politically correct term is now. But yeah, now coming into the profession and growing up the ranks with the Texas Society of Professional Surveyors and the Texas Young Surveyors, I mean, there's always a good mentor for me, no matter where I've been. So I couldn't say enough about our responsibility now to pass it back and pay it forward as it is. And what you guys are doing here, you're unofficial mentors, and I think everybody kind of has that especially in our industry, that person that they could always go to. Your mentor is always going to be there for you. So I can definitely see kind of like a prolonged and an ongoing relationship with your mentor. So if you're not helping them, they're going to be helping you in one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. No question. And we had a discussion on one of the episodes, gosh, I don't even know which one it was, but how, and I would be curious to kind of get the three of your take on this one, how education, like formal education, could be taking the place of mentoring. And I'm not in that camp. I don't believe that's the case. I mean, I think one of you mentioned it earlier. There's
Chris,
certain things.
He covered that when he was like, no.
Yeah.
You can get as much as you can out of that, but there is just some more to it. So I don't want to steal the thunder of this question, but Jose, go for it and tell us what you think.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely not. I mean, you can learn as much as you want from a textbook, but you're not going to get the same experience. You're not going to get the same knowledge or the feedback or constructive criticism, whatever you need, that red line WTF on one of your plats. It's just, you're not going to get that from a textbook. And that's where you need somebody to actively tell you or coach you on how to grow and not just, I don't know, learn it as much as you want to.
Yeah. And that's coming from somebody like yourself who has spent a lot of time on the academia side. So that's great perspective. I appreciate that.
He's been there and seen that.
Yep. Chris, do you got anything else to add? I know you talked about a little bit earlier.
Well, first, I think Gabby might have been the one who mentioned what you said, Ryan. So I just want to make sure to give her.
Sorry, I'm sorry, Gabby.
No. And so I think education is important, extremely important, and I also think mentoring is important. And I think that they're not synonymous, and I think that one just builds on the other, to be honest. And so, mentoring is, to be a good mentee, you also have to be a good student and a good apprentice. And so I think education helps us learn to be good students.
Yep, it's a good point.
Actually, being a mentee will teach us to be a good apprentice and to know in a little bit of humility, and which most of us can use here and there. And so, so I think they're both just as important as the other.
Yeah, the word you said there that I gravitate to is humility. If there's one thing this profession does, it humbles you. There's no doubt about it, and you got to be willing to be humbled. It makes you a much better professional. No doubt. Gabby, you got anything else to add since Ryan stole your thunder?
I blew it. I'm sorry.
I think, pretty much what Chris said, that they go hand in hand. Like, formal education gives you a lot of the tools you need, but not necessarily how you should use them. And I think a lot of what mentorship ends up teaching you is how to solve problems when they actually come up. You might know the knowledge, but when push comes to shove, having somebody who kind of walked you through, hey, this is what happened when I ran into that problem, is really critical. And I think leadership is also a huge thing that doesn't get taught in schools, and that we really need a lot of in our career. And really the only way I've seen that passed down is through mentoring.
Yeah, and it's important that you as a mentee, you gravitate towards the right people, because let's face it, there could be somebody in maybe a leadership role who isn't going to be the best mentor, so you got to make sure that you gravitate towards the people that are going to, really make a difference in your professional careers.
Well, and this is my makeup question to Gabby specifically, with my screw up. As a female, do you find it hard to find mentors that are willing to? I don't want to give all guys a bad rap or anything like that, but it's tough to be a female to break that wall and that ceiling and to get to there. Have you had that tough road?
I'm probably not the best example. I don't feel like I've had a particularly tough go of it. I feel like I've been really lucky in my career. I think just being a little bit more on the tech side of things, and it tend to be skewed a little bit more progressive and welcoming of an environment, helps. And then I think I've been really lucky with the people that I've worked along the way. I've gotten to work with some really great females, and I've gotten to work with some really great women, some really great men. And I don't think I've come up alongside anybody who's been like, no, you can't do that, or has given me a side glance and thought I couldn't do something. So I think I've been really lucky with where I've been so far.
Let's transition with that into technology and how, technology is also shaping the future of, the geomatics professions. And technology also is guilty of, I guess, being counterintuitive, I don't know, counterproductive, I guess, as far as developing the future of these professions. Yeah, well, I mean, now you have robotics and GPS, of course, and what once took, a minimum of 3 guys now takes 1 guy. So that, could have a negative effect on the future of geomatics and getting people involved. So, Jose, I'm going to let you start with this one.
Okay, so I mean, I think it's going to appeal, the new technology that we have, such as drones and all that, it's going to appeal to younger generation just because it's a shiny new toy and people are going to want to kind of learn how to use it and do something outside of the ordinary with it. I don't know if we're going to have a decline, or let me get my thoughts together there. I guess I wonder how it's going to impact the need for surveyors. There's always going to be a need for your boundary guy. There's always going to be a need for the technical experts, but I kind of wonder how it's going to impact the demand for the workforce, the amount of surveyors that we have as a mass population. And that would be, I guess my biggest concern would be, are we going to not have enough work for everybody? But then again, we also have the shortage of surveyors right now. So I guess it's kind of, I don't know, fixes itself.
Yeah. And then, the other side of that coin, and this is also something that is a little disturbing to think about, is deregulation. I know it's been talked about. It's definitely been talked about in Arizona. I mean, we've skated by the last few times it's been brought up, but it is something that has been talked about even at a national level. So there's that challenge as well. Chris, go ahead.
I got a couple thoughts. Actually end up with more questions than anything. The technology we have makes us efficient, but like at what end do we have? It blows me away that we have GPS rovers that you don't have to level anymore to take a shot. And I think that, I love the technology and it's really awesome. And how fast do we really need to be? And so I've been a part of the race to make profit, and I've been a part of all of that. And it just seems, it seems that we're finding the technology to try to solve some other problems that we just need to beat the next person. And I think that's just unfortunate, because I think there is plenty of work to go around in a lot of ways. And, I have some of the same fears and that you have, Kent, and what Jose talked about with potential deregulation or not having enough folks to kind of fill seats as we move forward. I think this all goes back to the like promoting the profession question. It just requires us to go tell our stories just like everybody else does, and that just requires us to get dirty a little bit. And sometimes that requires us to spend a little money when we need to, even though that seems to be a difficulty at times. And so, it's like where like with automation, like how much is too much or how far is too far before we essentially automate ourselves out of a job. And so
Yep.
That happened in my lifetime, I don't know.
Yeah.
But sometimes it feels like we're going that way, or the manufacturers are creating easy ways to collect data that you don't necessarily have to think your way through. Everything's wizard driven these days, it seems like. And I remember learning on some really old equipment, and I'm sounding like one of those grouchy old guys now, but sometimes you have to think your way through it a little bit. And so that's where I think education comes into play in a lot of these things. And my last point is, I've been around a lot of surveyors who complain about civil engineers. Like, they just complain and complain about, civil engineers don't see us as a profession. And from what it feels like is those folks don't see themselves as a profession either. and so they're not holding themselves professionals. And so I think we want to be considered professionals. Our profession needs to step up and be that way, and be what we want. And so sometimes it feels like a bit of apathy, and we kind of struggle with being that thing, that profession that we all want.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you said, and I think there is a shift taking place that is elevating the level of professionalism of surveyors. It's just a very slow process, unfortunately, and it's something that that Ryan mentioned and you touched on as well. Is technology is making it almost too easy to collect data, but it's once that data is collected, what happens with it afterwards is where
who does what with it.
Who does what with it? Yeah, exactly. And that's where I think, wisdom and knowledge and stuff like that comes in. Gabby, go ahead. Talk about technology and how you see it forming the future of Geomatics.
Yeah, I think there definitely is something to say about automation and things getting faster and things getting more frequent and things getting more accurate. But I think at the same time, a lot of, at least what I've seen, is demand increasing, is people who can collect that data really easily wanting to do something with it. And no matter how accessible we make that, there's always going to be questions and things that go wrong, and they don't necessarily know what they're doing with that data or what format it was in or why it was in that format.
Yep.
So I think there still is incredible need for people to understand what's going on behind the scenes of all that technology. That being said, I think there's a lot of new avenues that technology is opening up, and I think it's going to change really fast, and I don't know necessarily what it's going to look like. I know a lot of people throw around a lot of AR and VR and lots of big exciting things that are coming, at least to like the 3D visualization side of things that I'm on. But yeah, I think it's an exciting future, but we're definitely going to need people that understand the cogs and gears of how it goes on underneath.
Yep, no question. For example, like producer Jake owns an acre of land on Mars, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen it.
Everyone's gonna need one of those here soon.
I go to his restroom and it's like acre one of one of one.
And
Like you are like the origin of Mars.
Yep.
Yeah. And I've got some other Mars posters in there. That's the Mars bathroom. The powder bathroom's all Marsed out.
I have noticed that you are the origin.
Well, I actually have
Point of beginning.
There's I'm not sure
the POB.
If you've seen that. There's one too. It's like the astronaut, and he's like on Mars, and the bottom it says "Surveyors Wanted." One of my favorite pieces of art.
I may have told the lovely Carrie about that one. I'm like, oh, it's in his bathroom.
I think we actually even talked about briefly making it the thumbnail or something, just because it was so perfect.
We did. Yeah. Hey,
Surveyors
you never know.
Wanted.
I don't know if it'll be in my lifetime, but it's gonna happen. There's no doubt about it.
Well, is it going to be Chris or Jose or Gabby that's going to survey Mars?
Yet to be determined. I don't know.
I don't want to go.
Might have to be one of our kids.
I'll sign you guys up. I'm not going.
Jake would be the first in line. He'd go in a heartbeat.
I'll be the first one.
He's going to be staking out his property up there. All right. So I know we got off track just a little bit. I know NSPS has a Young Surveyors group, and Gabby, obviously, you're involved with organizations as well, such as, was it SPAR 3D and LiDAR News. Talk about
Friend
those.
of the program.
Yep, friend of the
Boom.
program. Yep, Gene Rowe. I would say free plug. Don't get used to it.
But it's not free.
It's not free.
Hey, I'm just throwing it out there. I'm making friends here.
Yeah. So Gabby, talk about the organizations as far as the younger geospatial professional organizations that you're a part of.
Sure. So the Younger Geospatial Professional community that I am part of is really there to do like what you guys are trying to do here, is raise awareness and welcome people who are younger and kind of provide them a path forward in their career. So that's a lot of what that specific organization is. And part of that is, of course, SPAR 3D, which is a larger larger organization, and my experience mostly has been through the conference that they have, which is a lot about 3D visualization. So there's kind of a branch that deals with the data collection itself, and there's a branch of basically what to do with that data and how to visualize it and how to measure it and how to analyze it. So it's a great opportunity to understand what's happening in the field and all the different use cases that are happening right now. I think that's my favorite part, is kind of understand all the different industries that kind of use this in different ways, and what they're doing, and all the awesome stuff that's happening.
Yep. Great job getting involved with that stuff. That's awesome. Chris and Jose, I'm going to have you guys talk a little bit about the NSPS Young Surveyors Group and how people can get involved and the benefits of that. So, Chris, why don't you go ahead and give us a little bit of that?
Yeah. The NSPS Young Surveyors Network started, I think, in 2015, somewhere around there, and slowly growing and morphing and whatnot. And it's a great organization to get involved with. I've met some of my favorite people in the world through that group, and so I think one of the greatest benefits is, one, gaining access to your state organizations is important, because they're going to be the folks that are going to be supporting you through these meetings and the meetups with the national group, and I'm getting exposure to what's happening on the national scale, what happens in other states. And at this point I could call up a half a dozen to 12 folks in any one state and potentially get a job, or maybe they're struggling with a problem, they can call me, and vice versa. And so it's just kind of building that social network. And there's a website, I think it's called nspsyoungsurveyors.org. It's been a couple years, or about a year since I've been on, but some great folks are involved, and I think it's free to join. Also, if you're a surveyor in one in any state, they're typically your professional organization. Most of them have some version of a representative of the Young Surveyors Network in your state. So reach out to your professional organization and find that person. Or if they don't have that person, maybe you want to be that person. Or maybe you want to ask them to create a young professionals group in your state. All of it's important.
Yep. It's got to start somewhere. Now, do you have to be a surveyor to be involved with the Young Surveyors Group, or could somebody like Gabby be involved with that?
Someone like Gabby could totally. I think she's probably a surveyor at heart. She just doesn't quite know it. But we're all 3D nerds in the long run, so I love that part. And to be honest, the NSPS Young Surveyors Network is part of the national FIG Young Surveyors Network. So, everywhere else in the world, it seems, besides here, things like GIS and data science and surveying they're all together, and we seem to separate them out here. And so, I've met quite a few really interesting, wonderful folks in the Netherlands and Portugal. And they work for Esri potentially, or for their local governments doing GIS or surveying, or any one of the kind of geospatial fields. So anybody can join that has some sort of interest in I guess geomatics or geospatial.
Yeah, it's almost like peer mentoring that's happening there. It's a great idea, and it's an organization that for as far as the future of the profession goes, it's got to continue to grow. Well, I had something else I was going to mention.
You got to get Jose in here. Come on.
No, I'm going to. Chris mentioned something else. You mentioned networking. I think that, because of technology, again, circling back to that,
that is so difficult, but so easy at the same time.
Yeah, but networking, like when I first started surveying, my network was like the 10 people in Southern Illinois that attended the surveyors meetings that I went to. But now, the network is global.
Now you got a Geoholics podcast.
It's global. Well, that's like
It's
a
all-
byproduct
it's a whole
of this
different
that
thing.
I had no idea was going to happen. Yeah, but I mean, the network is global, and it's all about, like I said earlier, is kind of connecting the dots, and understanding what people are very passionate about, and somebody else who's passionate about that same thing. You connect those two people, and it just continues to grow.
You start it locally, and it just balloons.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
It does definitely work. It's the passion of people shows.
For sure. Jose, why don't you finish us out here with the NSPS Young Surveyors Group and any other organizations you're involved with that promote surveying?
Yeah, so actually I haven't made it to an NSPS meeting yet. I've been very involved with the Texas Young Surveyors, which I think was a byproduct of the NSPS creation. They've been around, I think, since 2016 or something. And I really got involved in 2017. But it's a great way to, like Chris said, network and create those bonds. So Cameron Lowe, he's over here at LJA, and he's a very good friend of mine now. And I met him through the Texas Young Surveyors. We've kind of both together here working in the area and handling the Texas Young Surveyors. We've looked at expanding our reach and kind of really becoming the drivers or the force that's creating some of the recruiting efforts here locally. Just before COVID hit, we had some plans to expand those efforts. We actually did do a career fair booth at the Houston Hispanic Forum's 34th annual education and career fair. It's a mouthful, but I got it. And we had about, 3,000 to 5,000 students come through and just ask, hey, what are you guys doing? What is this cool, 3D sandbox you guys have here? Can we play with it and get some more information? So it's a really good way to build those bonds and do something that you're not going to be able to do by yourself because you don't have those resources. But hey, this group of guys has a like-minded idea, and let's go and do it. Let's go execute. So now we can do something a little bigger than ourselves,
Yeah, and by the way, those 3D sandboxes, if you have never messed around with one or you don't have one, it's addicting.
They'll draw a crowd, no doubt about it.
No doubt. Those things are awesome. Ryan, you got anything else you want to add?
I just got to thank everybody for being here. That was pretty awesome, and oh my goodness, what a round
Good group.
of yep. It was some different opinions and mentalities, and I appreciate it from all over the board.
Yep, kudos to each of you, and congrats on your successes. And like I say, you're kind of hitting your stride as far as professionals go, and I'm sure you're going to be that much more successful in the future. So.
One day you'll all catch up to Kent.
I think I've been passed.
Who wants to be the next host?
Yeah. With that, let's do a good of the order round the horn type thing. Jose, I'll let you start with this. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you want to get out there?
So I think the biggest thing for me is just spreading awareness of your profession to those minorities who've never heard of it, like myself. So let's go ahead and do something that we're not going to normally do and talk to one different person about land surveying.
Yep,
tomorrow.
And feel free to get outside your comfort zone, right? How about you, Chris?
That is simple and effective.
I love what Jose just said. So thanks for closing with that. So for me, lastly, it's find your why. Like, why are you here? I mean, we get to watch Kent and Ryan and Jake. I mean, you guys, this is like part of your purpose work. This is awesome to be involved with something that you grew this out of something that needed to happen, and you felt that need. So I appreciate that deeply. And so like use the three of you as a model of like how to find your place. That might be a company you work for. Do your values align with what this company does? And if it doesn't, go find another place or start your own.
Yep.
I think is one of the most important things. And millennials want to have meaningful work, and so find what that meaningful work is and go after it. And it's really up to each individual person to do that. You can't wait for someone else to kind of lay that out in front of you. So
yep. Take control of your destiny, no doubt.
Get it.
For sure. All right, Gabby, you got the last word.
All right. I don't think I have anything as profound as Chris, but I did want to just echo the mentoring discussion and just say, go out and find a new mentor, somebody who is either younger or older, or maybe is a different perspective than you that can help you grow and improve.
Yep. Well said. Well, again, thank you guys for taking the time to be with us. I know, Gabby, you're on the East Coast. It's getting late for you. But we appreciate the commitment to being here, and the profession for that matter.
It's late for us,
Thank you,
too.
my pleasure.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, we'll definitely keep in touch. All right, as always, look for ways you can pay it forward, bank some good karma, be a good human, and remember, you get what you give. Thank you again for listening and for your continued support. Check out our friends of the program, as many of them are offering promos exclusively for Geoholics listeners. Please be sure to check out our podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. The Eddie Van Halen thing still is.
R.I.P. Eddie Van Halen, basically, is what you were looking to say.
Yeah. And YouTube, take a sec to subscribe there too. Feel free to send us an email at info@thegeoholics.com. If you have any suggested topics or would like to be on a panel of a future Geoholics Anonymous episode, with over 20,000 listeners, we've got an awesome platform to talk about some really cool things.
You could say it correctly. We're doing some shit.
Until next time, everybody, stay safe and healthy, and rip Eddie.
All right. Once again, thank you to our friends of the program, Bad Elf GPS. Find them at bad-elf.com. Land Surveyors United, landsurveyorsunited.com. LiDAR News at lidarnews.com. Parkland College Land Survey Program, parkland.edu/surveying. Unifly, unifli.aero. Diamondback Land Surveying at diamondbacklandsurveying.com. Advanced Geodetic Surveys at agsgps.com. Tiger Supplies at tigersupplies.com. Cyanic Automation at getjobbook.com. Safety Apparel, you can find them at safetyapparel.us. And finally, Get Kids Into Survey at getkidsintosurvey.com.